The sun's relentless heat scorches the Earth for over 3 years, bringing chaos to the world. Unfortunately, the worst is yet to come, as it's predicted that the sun will be sending new heat flares to the Earth, which have the potential to destroy all life on Earth in the blink of an eye. Desperate to save the planet, scientists travel deep into space to an asteroid called New Trinity and formulate an intelligent antimatter bomb named Freddy with an enormous explosive force, which they plan to detonate on the sun in hopes of changing the direction of the flare. At the command center, Captain Steve Kelso speaks about the mission with Freddy, who thanks the captain for his professionalism, bids him a hearty farewell, and is loaded onto its probe, Ra, the cargo ship at Chicago. Elsewhere, a few kilometers from Earth, at a command space station named Skytown, a United Command starship, USS Helios, captained by Captain Borg, arrives and prepares for the mission. Captain Borg assembles his crew, including an artificially fertilized and enhanced human named Alex Noaf, and discusses their mission at length. After concluding that it's a very risky mission, he encourages everyone to stay focused so that they can succeed at giving the Earth a second chance. Meanwhile, on Earth, in Las Vegas, an ambitious, self-absorbed man named Arnold Teague invites his board of directors for his mega-industrial company, IXL Corporations, and discusses the implications of the Sun expedition for his company and the Earth at large. Before the meeting starts, the board members discuss the matter privately and realize that they have polar opposite views. Half of the members support the expedition, while the other half disregard the predictions of the Earth's nearing demise and opt to channel their focus elsewhere. At the meeting, one of the board members, Dr. Haas, gives a lengthy scientific explanation that describes how the sun is destroying the Earth. However, at the end of the presentation, Arnold ignorantly dismisses everything and announces a blind, optimistic outline for the future of the Earth, which the rest of the board members feel forced to follow. As he leaves the meeting, Arnold tells his goons to make sure the Helios expedition doesn't succeed. Taking the predictions as fiction, Arnold then secretly works out a plan to sabotage the mission in hopes of industrially benefiting from the panic. In Skytown, Captain Steve and his crew arrive from New Trinity to prepare and command the launch. First, Commander Steve goes to see his father, Admiral Skeet Kelso, and is shocked to learn that his son Mike has escaped from the military school he sent him to and has gone missing. The Admiral calms down the commander and promises to help his grandson. On Earth, after days of running, Mike Kelso stops in the desert to look for the space shuttle in hopes of reuniting with his family in space. Later, Captain Borg calls a meeting in which all the crew discuss the core of the mission, the details, and the plan of execution in detail. The different scientists detail their plan to reach Region 17, which is expected to release the tightest and strongest flare, and redirect the flare away from the Earth so that it will combust in deep space with minimal damage. Then Captain Steve informs the crew of the bad news that since the guidance system on Raya has not yet been tested and failure can't be tolerated, one of the crew members is going to have to drive the probe and detonate the bomb manually. Unexpectedly, one of Ra's designers, Dr. Minami, volunteers for this role. On Earth, as Mike wanders in the desert, he meets a shabby old colonel named Travis inside a small shelter and begs him to take him to the space shuttle, and the two get on Travis's old bike and start on their way. Meanwhile, on Skytown, the crew attempts to load Ra, and just as it's almost complete, an error occurs and panic courses through the ship. Luckily, Alex localizes the error quickly, patches it up, and the loading is complete. Just as Commander Steve celebrates this small win, he is informed that his father has requested a dropship to Earth and is leaving soon to find Mike. The commander protests this profusely to no avail. On Earth, after Mike and Travis speed through the desert for a few miles, the bike tire blows out completely and they are left stranded in the nothingness. A few minutes later, IXL's robotic trucks pass by the desert, and the duo tries to signal them to stop and give them a ride, to no avail. Travis then uses his bike to stop the trucks, but the robots just drive through it and destroy it completely. Feeling hopeless, Travis then stands in the middle of the street without flinching, and the last truck is forced to stop. Travis uses this opportunity to jump on top and pulls Mike with him. In Skytown, while everything runs smoothly, Commander Steve realizes that he is developing feelings for Alex and searches the database to learn more about her. Meanwhile, Alex goes to shower and is kidnapped by one of Arnold's men, who has managed to infiltrate the ship, and she is reprogrammed to sabotage the mission and named Delilah. Meanwhile, on Earth, after hearing the news of Delilah, Arnold calls Dr. Haas for a meeting on his private plane, flies him to the desert, and, while the doctor begs him to reconsider his position and refrain from mass murdering the human population, he forces him off the plane and leaves him in the middle of nowhere. Elsewhere, Travis and Mike travel inside the robotic truck until it's suddenly shot at by angry locals, who manage to completely stop the truck but help the duo when they recognize the colonel. On the other side of town, the Admiral makes it to Earth and harasses his men for not finding Mike yet. He deploys more men all around the desert in hopes of finding him sooner. In Helios, Captain Borg breathlessly reports that one of the valves of the ship has depressurized and there is a need to rebalance the pressure with its counterpart. The crew goes through multiple possible solutions, but fails to come up with one that works. After a long discussion and failing to find out the cause of the leak, the commander realizes that it has to be manually manipulated and chooses one of the crew members named Meeks to do it. Meeks accepts the order, knowing he won't make it out alive, and after getting prepped, heads to the engines. There, Meeks does as ordered, and just as he manages to balance the pressures, an explosion occurs and blows him to smithereens as he cries for help. Even though they knew the risks, the crew couldn't handle seeing one of their own die in such a manner and had a hard time dealing with it. However, the commander, while holding back his tears, reminds everyone to stay focused and get back to work, now that everything is back in order. Commander Steve goes to the personnel system and recommends Meeks for the Medal of Honor for his heroic actions. He then takes time out to check on Alex and comforts the visibly shaken girl and gives her hope that everything will be okay. Back on Earth, the Admiral continues to search for Mike to no avail and becomes disheartened at possibly losing both his son, who is on a risky mission, and his grandson, who is nowhere to be found at the same time. Elsewhere, Colonel Travis and Mike continue their journey and get into a bar to take some rest. Meanwhile, the severely sunstroked Dr. Haas is rescued by some locals and brought to the same bar where he meets Mike. Recognizing Mike's uniform to be of the military school, Dr. Haas uses his dying breath to tell him all about EXL trying to sabotage the mission. In Helios, once the preparations are all done, Freddy asks for permission to get on board the Helios. After he is given the green light, Freddy comes on to Helios, gets its systems verified, and settles in until they get to the sun. Meanwhile, outside, Colonel Travis convinces a local to give Mike a ride to the space shuttle, sets him on his way, and goes back to the bar. On the other side of the bar, as soon as Dr. Haas dies, out of the goodness of their hearts, his rescuers find the contact information of IXL and inform them of what happened. Within minutes, the small town is crowded by Arnold's men, rushing to take the doctor's body and find out if he had shared what he knew with anyone. Unaware of the situation, the rescuers detail the late doctor's interaction with Mike and the colonel, which brings danger to the old man, whom the men beat in trying to find out what he knows and information about Mike's whereabouts. Then, gathering enough information, Arnold's men follow the trails and find Mike on his way to the space shuttle. They kill the driver of his car and imprison the young man. In Helios, Freddy talks to Dr. Minami, with whom it has a good rapport with, and tells him how he smartly analyzes its systems. While the duo jokes around chit-chatting, Alex comes and borrows the doctor's computer card after citing that hers is not working. Later that night, the Admiral receives information on sightings of Mike around the bar, heads there, interviews the locals, and learns that employees of IXL were after his grandson. In light of this new information, the Admiral heads to IXL's headquarters to get to the bottom of the matter. Meanwhile, Arnold's men continue to beat up Colonel Travis to force him to share what he heard about the mission. When they fail at this, the men cruelly beat the colonel to death. Inside Helios, Alex secretly sabotages the mission once again by blowing up an oxygen tank and leaking oxygen everywhere. The crew, including the commander and Captain Borg, rushes to the scene. However, Captain Borg is severely injured as he gets closer to inspecting the problem and is taken to the infirmary while the commander manages to shut off the leaking tank. Captain Borg pulls aside the commander and shares his suspicion that someone amongst the crew must be sabotaging them. Taking this seriously, Commander Steve orders one of the technicians to get him a list of people whose IDs were used to access the computer and alter programs in the last 24 hours. The commander is hit with more bad news as he learns that they have lost more than half of their oxygen supply, and what they have won't be enough to get them back to Earth. On Earth, Arnold flies Mike to a remote area, and after defending his belief that one must not alter nature, he leaves him there and orders his men to kill him. Meanwhile, the Admiral gets to IXL's headquarters and demands to see the boss. In the remote wilderness, Arnold's goon chases Mike around the desert, but fails to catch him. Mike hides, sneaks up on the man, attacks him, and shoots him. However, the man fights him, and while trying to defend himself, Mike is injured. Luckily, the Admiral and his soldiers track the man's phone and arrive in time to rescue Mike after killing the man. In Helios, systems keep failing for no obvious reason, and the crew starts getting anxious and turning on each other. They then get a coded message from the Admiral, who learns of the sabotage plot, but they fail to understand the meaning of Delilah. The Admiral and his men then track down Arnold as he tries to escape in his plane and shoot him dead. In Helios, the commander learns that Dr. Minami's ID was used to sabotage the mission and decides to pull him off flying the Ra. Meanwhile, while preparing Freddy, Dr. Minami is alarmed to see that it has been manually set to detonate prematurely in less than 10 minutes and panics. He tries everything he can to cancel the manual detonation and even begs Freddy to no avail. Feeling desperate, the doctor tries to break Freddy's system, but instead he is burned to death as the system explodes. Panic courses through the ship as the crew tries to figure out what is going on and tries to slow down the detonation time. Captain Borg looks for Alex in hopes of using her expertise, but is shocked to find her passed out from all the guilt and regret. The crew tries to cancel the detonation using their authorized voices but fails. As all hell breaks loose trying to find Alex's recorded voice to stop Freddy, Alex wakes up, somehow manages to free herself from her evil programming, and cancels the premature detonation. As everyone sighs a deep breath of relief, Freddy shocks everyone by revealing that Alex has been the culprit for the chaos all along. As the crew announces that they are approaching Region 17 and all anxiously wonder who could pilot Freddy, Alex pulls the commander aside to apologize, but he wants to hear none of it. Alex then reveals that she has feelings for the commander, who also feels the same way. But before the commander could respond, hoping to make up for all the wrong she did and give her life meaning, Alex knocks him out, rushes to Freddy, enters the Ra, and starts flying it to the sun. Alex pilots the Ra to the sun and manages to reroute the flare, as all the crew members watch in shock and awe and prepare to return home.